Tonight on Coyote News, a version of the Comic-Con Entertainment Festival was in town this weekend. Find out how VerminCon benefits students. And the head of USD's ROTC is leaving. We'll find out what's next for Lieutenant Colonel Ross Nelson. I'm Kathleen Suri.
And I'm Bailey Millen. After more than 30 years, Professor Larry Bradley is retiring from USD. We take a look back on his career and find out how one art exhibit is working to keep the Lakota language alive through animation.
Plus, the women's basketball team's 4-game winning streak has been snapped, and both men's and women's track teams are tallying record-breaking performances. First, the headlines with Taylor Fouth.
A Jordanian government spokesman says they are prepared to free a female suicide bombing suspect in exchange for the release of a Jordanian fighter pilot held captive by ISIS. Official Jordanian government remarks made no mention of the Japanese journalist also being held by ISIS. A house explosion Monday evening in Bemidji, Minnesota has left one person in the hospital. County officials received calls about an explosion loud enough to rattle windows and knock pictures off walls. Fire investigators say the cause seems to be accidental from a propane gas leak in the home. The injured person was transported to Sanford Hospital by ambulance, and no information is available about his condition. 54 years ago, 9 activists from Rock Hill, South Carolina, went to jail for their roles in a civil rights protest. This morning, the 8 surviving activists left the courthouse with clean records. In 1961, the men, known as the Friendship 9, walked up to a whites-only lunch counter, which landed these activists in jail for 30 days. Rather than pay a fine, they accepted the conviction of trespassing and were sentenced to hard labor. The same lawyer who represented them in 1961 stood beside them this morning, and the judge who cleared their names is the nephew of the judge who originally convicted them. And those are your headlines.
Thanks, Taylor. Games, games, and more games. That's what this weekend's 22nd annual VerminCon event was all about. On this week's Yote Report, Erica Arpan gives us an inside look at how this convention benefits students.
Every year, hundreds of people flock to Vermillion for a weekend full of fun, friends, and of course, gaming. VermiCon is in its 22nd year here at USD and is consistently growing in size.
The family-friendly event is put on for 3 days out of the year. Throughout those 3 days, gamers can play in tournaments, get involved with hourly raffles, and even buy merchandise from vendors. Kat Hamid, the vice president of the Games Club, as well as the VerminCon manager, says the convention promotes student interaction on campus.
Especially for timid people, not a lot of gamers are very, outspoken, and so it gets them to come and enjoy games with like-minded people. It's really nice.
Not only are there students who return every year, but vendors do as well. Kevin McGarry says he's been coming back to VerminCon for years, and that the atmosphere is always good.
A lot of kids have fun. They're always, everybody here is in a great mood. Everybody here wants to play games and just have a good time.
The Games Club fundraises all year to put on the event. It is completely self-funded, and part of the contributions from VerminCon goes to the Michael Rowan charity raffle, which helps people give their children swimming lessons. Hamid says the club has broken charity donation records in the past. If you want to get involved with the Games Club or want to know more about VerminCon, email games@usd.edu. For the Yote Report, I'm Erica Arpan.
Yesterday, the South Dakota House of Representatives passed a measure that would allow state officials to more easily respond to deadly disease outbreaks. The bill would modernize the state's authority to respond to serious communicable diseases. Despite passing the House 41-27, the bill faced some opposition from lawmakers, concerned that it gives the state too much authority. Health officials say the state's laws are old-fashioned and need to be updated to protect South Dakotans from easily spread diseases like the Ebola virus. The bill passed out of the House gives the state the authority to monitor, quarantine, or isolate people suspected or confirmed of having 5 diseases, including Ebola and tuberculosis. The bill will now move on to a Senate committee to be heard.
Last year, USD's ROTC program was nearly cut, but made a comeback soon after that announcement. This year, more changes are in store for the group. Coyote News' Levi Goots is live in the muck with Lieutenant Colonel Ross Nelson, who's being reassigned to a new university. Levi?
Thanks, Bailey. Yes, the USD ROTC program is still here despite the threat of being cut last year, and many changes are still coming in the future. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Levi.
Yep. So, can you kind of explain to us what went on last year with the program almost being cut?
Well, Cadet Command and the Army as a whole is looking at manpower reductions and budget reductions, and they were looking at a way to restructure Cadet Command, and they'd identified 12 schools that they thought should be maybe closed to get some manpower savings. Since then, they've re-looked their closure process, and they're not going to close any universities. They think they can make up the manpower savings by other means, and our program's going strong, and we're continuing to recruit new cadets every day. We're always looking for future Army officers.
Very good. And you are being relocated to another program. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, like most Army assignments, I'm finishing up my 2 to 3 years, and I was selected for a battalion command, which means in May I'll take command of the 212th Aviation Battalion in Fort Rucker, Alabama, and I'll be in charge of Black Hawk training, helicopter training for the U.S. Army.
All right, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was Lieutenant Colonel Ross Nelson talking with us about USD's ROTC. Live from the muck, I'm Levi Goots.
Thanks, Levi. Coming up after the break, a professor who's been with the university for over 30 years is teaching his final semester, and find out how one art exhibit is trying to keep the Lakota language alive. Stay with us.
Your fire attack. Your fire attack. 1926.
The Lakota language was once spoken by over 100,000 people. Today, that number has dropped to under 6,000. But one local artist is trying to keep the language alive through animation. Megan Yellowboy, a recent graduate of Dakota State University, says she chose to use the Lakota language in her artwork because she believes it's an important part of her culture and history.
I think that the language is just as much a part of who we are as a people, as well as, the beadwork, the ceremonies, the traditions.
The exhibition, entitled Lakoliapi, shows Yellowboy's entire process from concept drawings all the way to the actual animations. Students can visit the exhibit until tomorrow at the John A. Day Gallery in the Fine Arts Building.
Students had a second chance at a glimpse into Greek life on Monday as part of an effort to recruit new members. Sorority and fraternity chapters hosted a Meet the Greeks event in the Muck Ballroom. Members from all USD houses were present to meet with potential new members, explain what makes their chapter unique, and answer questions. This event is the only joint effort between the organizations for spring recruitment. Even though some Greek houses aren't accepting new members at this point in the semester, each chapter took part in the reception. Bidding for spring recruitment ends February 11th. Students who don't receive a bid but still want to join Greek life can sign up for fall recruitment.
The trial for a former South Dakota U.S. Senate candidate accused of election law violations has been delayed again. Annette Bosworth was scheduled to stand trial in February in Hughes County. The trial has now been rescheduled for the middle of May at the request of the defense. The former candidate was originally supposed to stand trial in November. Bosworth is charged with 6 counts each of perjury and filing false documents. The charges carry a maximum punishment of 24 4 years in prison and $48,000 in fines. Authorities say the physician falsely attested to gathering voter signatures when she was really on a Christian mission trip to the Philippines. Bosworth lost the June 3rd Republican primary with 6% of the vote and was charged the following day.
In 1978, the song Hotel California by the Eagles won Record of the Year at the Grammys. The Dallas Cowboys defeated the Denver Broncos in the 12th Super Bowl, and Dr. Larry Bradley was just beginning his tenure as a Coyote. In May, Dr. Bradley will walk up these steps, see his name on this directory, and walk down this hall for the final time. Bradley says a lot has changed since he came to USD 36 years ago.
When I first arrived here, I had a National Science Foundation grant that involved about 8 students. And the students were studying usage of this new device that was appearing called a home computer.
Bradley says the attempt has always been for students to get hands-on experience, including working with other departments such as criminal justice.
We were looking for human remains from murders that occurred in the 1940s.
Although East Hall has been the home to Dr. Bradley for 30 years, he doesn't just study anthropology inside of it. He also considers himself to be quite the gamer.
I've got a game development package that I use, and some of the uses for that are to create virtual exhibits for the museum.
Bradley says he enjoys creating these virtual worlds, including a deconstructed Vermilion Main Street. Bradley says he'll miss the students, although he plans to keep interacting with them at the W.H. Over Museum, where he currently serves as temporary director.
Coming up after the break, with some New Year's resolutions to get fit still intact, the Wellness Center is busier than usual. And find out how students were able to share their opinions about racial inequality at a public forum last night. Stay with us. On Monday, more than 70 students, faculty, and members of the community attended a public forum in the Muck Pit Lounge to hold an open discussion about the recent Ferguson trial. The forum began with a speech from Greg Howard, who wrote a popular article about the case of Michael Brown titled "America's Not for Black People." Howard read his piece to the crowd during this event.
Michael Brown's death wasn't shocking at all. All over the country, unarmed black men are being killed by the very people who have sworn to protect them, as has been going on for a very long time now. It would appear that cops are not for black people either.
After Howard spoke, participants engaged in an open discussion about racial tensions in America and in South Dakota.
This is the most racist state I've ever seen, and it's not even close per capita. And I think that a lot of us are kind of in our shells.
We have to come together and try to get to know each other. Without that, usually what you feel of another race is what you heard and not what you really know.
Many people who spoke agreed that communication is key to fixing the problem of racism in the United States. The forum was presented by the Union of African American Students.
The Master of Business Administration program at USD's Business School has been named one of the best online MBA programs in the country for 2015. U.S. News and World Report listed USD at number 41 out of 196 online programs in the United States. This is the first year that MBA programs have been ranked separately from other online graduate business programs. The rankings are based on student engagement, admission selectivity, peer reputation, faculty credentials and training, and student services and technology.
If you're looking to start a new workout regimen, you may want to wait until it warms up, or a couple of hours after the sun goes down. In the midst of New Year's resolutions and spring break plans, the USD Wellness Center is seeing its annual January upsurge. Senior Desi Westall, an employee at the Wellness Center, says like most gyms in America, it experiences increased attendance at the turn of the year. The Wellness Center offers classes tailored to help shape a new you, such as group fitness boot camps. Westall says crowds begin to thin around spring break when the weather gets warmer. For now, Westall says the least busy time to visit the Wellness Center is after 8 o'clock at night.
On this week's Coyote blog, Andy Hartman explains why finding a compatible roommate isn't as easy as it seems.
It's the end of January, and you know what that means, housing applications. Yay. One of the most important aspects of housing applications is finding a roommate. Theoretically, finding a roommate should be pretty easy. You go on the application, fill out your preferences for sleep time, temperature, and all that jazz. Then you get to write a nice little autobiography about yourself. Once you're done with that, you get to look at all of your close matches and read their little autobiographies. That would work great, except for one thing. All of the autobiographies look the same. I'm kind of quiet at first, but once you get to know me, I never shut up, LOL. That's great, but you pretty much just described 75% of everybody. Nearly everyone is shy at first. Most people don't immediately show their crazy side when they first meet someone new. If you're going to start your autobiography with that, you might as well start it with, when you first meet me, I'll be breathing. These autobiographies should be full of interesting tidbits so you can see if you have common interests. What's their favorite sports team? What kind of music do they like? Can they quote Princess Bride as well as you can? You know, the important things. So now I'd like to wish you luck as you search for the holy grail of roommates. For Coyote Blog, I'm Andy Hartman.
Thanks, Andy. Coming up after the break, it was a record-breaking weekend for the swimming and diving teams, despite the loss to UND. Stay with us.
Climbing's awesome because it's challenging, both mentally and physically.
You gotta love climbing because even when you're not climbing, you get a great view.
Climbing's great because I feel like Spider-Man.
Climbing is great, because even my nerd friends can do it.
Climbing's awesome because there's always someone who has your back.
Come to the rock wall and figure out why climbing's awesome for you.
Tonight on Coyote Sports, the women's basketball team 4-game winning streak has been snapped, and both men's and women's track teams are tallying record-breaking performances. I'm Brandon Noel.
And I'm Sean Bauer. The men and women's swimming and diving teams battled UND on Saturday, and in the Bauer Beat, I give you my take on the upcoming Super Bowl. First, the headlines. Taylor?
On Sunday, Duke head basketball coach Mike Krzyzewski became the first Division I men's basketball coach to reach 1,000 career wins. Krzyzewski is now 98 wins shy of breaking the record, which would make him the all-time winningest coach in NCAA history. The current record was set by former Tennessee women's basketball coach Pat Summitt. Kobe Bryant underwent surgery on Monday to repair a torn right rotator cuff, ending his season. This is the third straight year that Bryant's season will end early due to injury. Bryant, who's the NBA's third leading scorer of all time, will be entering his 19th season in the league next year, which is causing some to speculate whether Bryant has played his final NBA game. Cleveland Browns wide receiver Josh Gordon has failed another drug and alcohol test and will likely be suspended for the upcoming 2015 NFL season. This is Gordon's third suspension since entering the NFL in 2012, which includes a 10-game suspension earlier this year. Brandon Vandenberg and Corey Batty 2 former Vanderbilt University football players have been convicted of aggravated rape and sexual battery. Yesterday, Vandenberg and Batty were convicted for the 2013 rape of a 21-year-old female student at Vanderbilt. Both men face decades of prison time when they are sentenced on March 6th. And those are your headlines.
Thanks, Taylor. The Coyote women's basketball team's 4-game winning streak was snapped on Saturday as they lost 68-43 to IUPUI. USD cut the lead to 3 with 12 minutes left in the game, but the Jaguars outscored the Coyotes 27-5 for the victory. Nicole Seekamp led all USD players with 11 points. The women are now 15-5 overall and 5-2 in the conference. They return to the Dakota Dome Wednesday as they face Denver in a rematch of the conference tournament final from last year. Senior women's basketball player Rochelle Contreras has been named the Coyote Athlete of the Week. The senior averaged 24.5 points per game in the Coyotes' wins against NDSU and SDSU. She also scored a career-high 32 points against the Jackrabbits. Contreras leads the Coyotes this season in scoring with an average of 17.4 points per game. And this is the leading three-pointer shooter in the Summit League.
The USD men's basketball team also fell to IUPUI Saturday, 65-50. The Jaguars held the Coyotes to their lowest scoring output of the season and shot 58% from the field to end a 4-game skid against USD. Tyler Larson led the Coyotes with 10 points, and Trey Norris added 9 in the loss. The men are now 10-11 overall and 4-3 in the conference. USD returns to the Dakota Dome Thursday for a 3-game homestand as they take on Fort Wayne. The USD men's track and field team took first place, and the women took second at the Jim Emmerich Alumni Invitational in Brookings on Saturday. The teams combined to win 7 events and set 3 new school records. Zach Snyder set a record in discus, Katie Wetstein in the mile run, and Danielle Waldner in the indoor shot put. Wetstein also placed first in the women's 3,000-meter run, and Snyder tied for first with fellow Coyote Kyle McKelvey in the men's shot put. Other winners for the Coyotes included Mak Do Gioke in the 600-meter run and Tivaski Lewin in the 60-meter hurdles. The Coyotes compete next on Friday in Minneapolis at the Jack Johnson Classic.
It was senior night this weekend, and the Coyotes broke 3 records, but that wasn't enough as the USD swimming team and diving fell to UND. Sophomore Sam Shutt broke the 800-meter freestyle record that's been held for 6 years. Shutt also won the 100 and 400 freestyle. Junior Chase Testa broke a school diving record by scoring 288 points. The women fell 172 to 121, and the men fell 169 to 129. Both teams are preparing for the Summit League Championship February 18th in Indianapolis. Sam Shutt and Grayson Herding were both named Summit League Swimmer and Diver of the Week. This is the 5th time Shutt has received the honor this year, and the 9th time for Herding. Both Shutt and Herding won every event they've competed in during their duels against SDSU and UND. In this week's sports commentary, now called the Bauer Beat, Sean Bowers tells us why he's not very excited about the Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl is this Sunday, and for me, I can't remember a Super Bowl in recent memory that hasn't interested me one bit as this one has. Maybe it's the constant coverage of Deflategate and who knew what and who did what. Or maybe it's the way too in-depth discussion of the Seahawks and Patriots game from 2 years ago and what was said between Tom Brady and Richard Sherman. More than likely, though, it's that I just don't like either team. On one side, you have the Seahawks. They're the kings of the trash talk and the defending champs. So it would be great to see them lose. Plus, I can't stand how many bandwagon fans they have now. It's easy to be a fan of a team for 2 years when they win. Wait till they start losing and let's see how many 12s there really are. On the other side, you have the Patriots, the cheaters of the league. I hate the Patriots because they're good. They have arguably the greatest coach and quarterback in NFL history, and I can't stand them. However, both will forever be linked to their infamous Spygate and now Deflategate controversies, so at least I got that going for me. As for the game, it's a pick-your-poison matchup for me. No matter who wins, I won't be happy. So I guess I'll just have to decide which team winning is the lesser of 2 evils. For the Bauer Beat, I'm Sean Bauer.
Thanks, Sean. Coming up next, we premiere our new semester long series of short films. We find out how one man is trying to keep students awake in class. Stay tuned.
Probably go to a buddy's house and some food and some
The biggest football game of the year is coming up this weekend between the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots.
On this week's Out and About, we asked students how they celebrate the Super Bowl.
Go to a buddy's house and kick back, have some food and some beers.
I actually have a basketball game on the Super Bowl this year, so, well, not a game, practice. So we'll be doing that all night.
I don't have plans for the Super Bowl.
I am gonna watch it on Skype with my family because I'm the biggest Pats fan because I'm from New England. So yeah, we're gonna watch it together even though they're in New England and I'm here.
I'm gonna watch the Super Bowl to watch Katy Perry because I heard there's gonna be something about her and Taylor Swift.
I will probably watch it here, and I'm assuming they have bingo, so I'll probably do that.
I honestly didn't even know the Super Bowl was coming up because that's how little I know about the Super Bowl.
I'm gonna go watch the game at one of my boss's houses and hopefully win some money off his Super Bowl board.
My plans are to watch it, I guess, because I'm a sports fan, but not enjoy it because I hate the two teams, and I hope they both lose. It's unprecedented, but I'm rooting for both to lose.
This semester, we're bringing back a series of Coyote Commentary short films produced by USD students.
This week, we follow the misadventures of Mr. Banashik and find out how he's trying to keep students awake in class with a little help from his son.
The Misadventures of Mr. Banashik.
It's Banashik. Hey, Mr. Banashik. Try this. How do you feel?
Is that what you called me in here for?
Well, I thought I'd talk to you a little bit before school started.
Yeah, classes started 2 weeks ago.
Right, yeah, it was just a test. Okay, you passed. Look, I'm having trouble with students staying awake. They keep falling asleep. I just can't keep their attention level up. So I thought, maybe you'd have some ideas.
Well...
Hello, students. This is Professor Banashik, and this is your new daily 2 p.m. wake-up call. That'll work.
A new edition of the Volant hit newsstands today. Pick up a copy to read about the changing business landscape for several downtown shops and eateries, and find out why there's only one team running for this year's SGA president and vice president.
That's all for Coyote News. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
Have a great night. We'll see you next time.